Orchard Road, the place to be. A food haven and fashion runway. But what was Orchard's fashion like in the 1960s? My name is Dawn, and I'm the creative director and founder of fashion label Minor Miracles. I've always loved Orchard Road. It's where I discovered fashion trends as a teenager, shopping in its malls. But I'm seeking inspiration from the decade before my time, the 1960s. What was hot and what was not? I'm going to meet the people who knew all about the fabrics and prints.
Psychedelic when it was a hippie era. Look at this daisy print.
Oh, nice.
Grab a t-shirt.
Learn about the rebellious streak of the 60s fashionistas.
That's part of the rebellion culture, you know.
We didn't know what virginity meant.
And discover peculiar fads.
So guys used to wear heels.
That's right, yes.
For the finale, I'll design a collection inspired by the spirit of the 60s.
And we're very tight on time.
And unveil it in my first ever fashion show in 10 weeks' time.
We are finishing hair. Ready? Just have fun.
Women's fashion exploded in the 1960s. It was no longer about corsets and looking proper. It was crazy prints, miniskirts, and big hair. Expressing yourself through your style. And that's what my label is about. Bright, bold, and adventurous. All this was happening in fashion capitals like London and New York. But what about our little red dot, especially our fashion capital, Orchard Road? My first stop, research. If I want to find out what the fashion scene was like in the Orchard precinct from Tanglin to Dhoby Ghaut, I've got to locate the shops. And then Ion is this police station. This Chinese cemetery is where Takashimaya was. All the malls that I'm familiar with did not exist back then. So where did women buy their clothes in the 60s? I need to talk to someone who's an expert on this, who knows about our fashion history, like Sharon, fashion lecturer and ex-editor at Elle. Where did Singaporeans shop in the 1960s?
Tanglin Road was the Orchard Road of the 60s in Singapore. You need to look at it from a store boutique perspective more than a fashion designer perspective. Even then, there were no major shops with brand names. I actually believe we dressed far more stylishly in the 60s than we do in recent times, you know. Well, the 60s was an amazing decade in fashion. It was largely defined by what we call youthquake. Youths were more open to dressing differently because it's a form of self-expression. Because for the first time since the turn of the century, it was peacetime. They had money to spend, they had time to think about themselves and identity.
What were the major events happening in the 1960s, actually?
Well, obviously, it's space travel, right? That fired the imagination of anyone who's creative. And you can see it in the freedom of movement in the clothes, you know. The idea of weightlessness in clothing, because, you know, with a mini skirt, you can just take bigger strides, for example, you know.
And just the print on the jacket
exactly,
also.
Yeah. I mean, it's just fabulous, you know.
Yes. Can you tell me about the colors and the prints?
Just a riot of color, man. So much color going on, you know. The 60s was quite famous for its huge, exaggerated floral prints.
Okay.
And there was also a huge leaning towards art.
Okay.
So Andy Warhol, for example,
Oh, yes,
right?
with
So
his
the
pop art.
Yeah, fashion is never in isolation, you see.
No.
Fashion is always a part of our lives, right?
I also find it very interesting that space age was something very big then. I guess I don't really realize that going to the moon was a very big thing then, you know, pushing the frontiers, and now we're really pushing it to Mars. So I'm very curious to see how the pieces were made in the 60s, touch and feel the fabric, see the construction. Meet Carrie. He is a vintage curator and a shopaholic.
This is where your
This is
collection
the warehouses. I mean, the
He'll
store.
show me his treasured collection from the 60s.
I want to say, this is like the gold mine here.
It's the storeroom.
It's a gold mine of history, you know?
Well,
Pieces they
basically,
have.
most of these pieces are from the mid-60s to the late 60s,
Okay.
yeah? Especially the bell-bottoms, you know, these are all, you know, like these are colour blocking.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful, you know. Velour with the
And then you
lace
have
trim,
dart.
yeah, with the dart, you know, and with the buttonfly.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about this piece?
Oh, this is
Yes.
beautiful. This is actually designed and made in Singapore by this shop called Glamourette. If you look at the
Glamourette.
labels, you know, it's
300
still
Orchard
Orchard
Road.
Road.
What inspired this?
Well, this is inspired by the film, you know.
Oh, what film?
Cleopatra, you
Cleopatra.
know. It was done by Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah, with the neckline.
Line, yeah, with acid color and everything. This is like a contemporary version of it, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me more about the safari jacket. Why were women wearing jackets like this?
I mean, basically people goes to work, you know, and so that's why they need jackets.
Women were not working before that.
They're all homemakers before that,
see.
yeah. But whereas in the 60s, women start coming out to work. So the jacket becomes important, so there are different interpretations.
It even has like short sleeves.
This is more for the tropics here. The patterns are very important for them.
Yeah, and the lapels are huge.
That's right, yeah. I mean, for a basic safari jacket, they will have more pockets, you know,
Okay.
but they streamline it, they
Yeah.
clean up everything. And then we have the
Shoes.
Shoes. Yes,
They're
that's right, yeah.
huge. Look at-
That's right, chunky.
Very, very chunky. I see. So women used to wear this.
Both women and men.
So there was
yeah.
a lot of unisex fashion
That's
in the
right, yes,
1960s.
yeah.
So guys used to wear heels.
Yes, that's right. Yes, yes.
Wow.
Everyone will have want to have endless legs.
Wow. Carrie's little warehouse is full of stories. Carrie really knows all the history behind every garment, so it's nice to see history actually coming alive. It's not just seeing it on books. The shoes were fun. So the big platforms were very useful. I know of the Ferragamo shoe that used to have big platforms like this. I just can't believe that men used to wear shoes like that too.
In Carrie's collection, one dress caught my eye. The neon green looker from Glamourette. And the shop was located in Orchard Road. Glamourette was a local fashion boutique above the Fitzpatrick supermarket. Basically where Paragon stands today. It retailed high-end fashion with some pieces costing $900 then. That's the equivalent of $3,700 today. I tracked down the son of Glamourette's owner and his friends to find out more. Jacob, Maylin, and Roland. 60s kids, rebels without a cause. Their mothers own boutiques on Orchard Road.
So your mom started importing fashion to Singapore.
She started importing in the mid-60s. But a lot of the noise was coming out from London. A lot of inspiration from this store called Bibas.
And what kind of looks was Glamourette selling actually?
Casual day wear.
They
I think, but
Okay.
dress up kind of day wear.
Yeah. I remember them using the word moo
Okay.
right, for those shift dresses. And it was all printed, flowery like
Yeah,
that. But
very
in the-
A-line.
Yeah?
In the style of the Hawaiian ladies, you know.
Yes.
That's why you call them moo dresses, yeah.
What was the hottest look in Glamourette?
For women to wear pants in those days
Yeah,
was
those
quite
big
something.
Right? Yeah.
Right? It was quite something. Much less to cut it short.
So you had hot pants.
And then you call them hot pants.
Best.
You have to look updated.
How did your mom start Le Bijou?
Le Bijou catered more to the elegant ladies,
I see.
the Indonesian women. At that Sukarno era, we had a lot of oil executives' wives. They were always trying to modernize their kabaya. We sold a lot of pantaloons with the vest, the gilet, and a bit dressy for the evenings.
While the parents went glitzy, their kids turned hippie. DIY tie-dye was the rage. T-shirts like these allowed them to wear their hearts on their sleeves, literally.
Grab a t-shirt.
Okay.
We're gonna work on this.
The trio show me how it's done.
That shows a rebellion against authority.
Yeah, because it was a psychedelic era.
Oh. Did they have slogan tees?
Around that time, late 60s, slogans against the war. I had one that was called Virginity Causes Cancer.
What?
That's part of the rebellion culture, you know.
We didn't know what virginity meant. Your father brought in the Carnaby Street look.
We started off with flowery ties from
Flowery
Carnaby,
ties, okay.
from Carnaby Street. For the first time, for men to be wearing
Flower
flowers.
ties, yeah.
It was in my dad's shop, Caprice. We was in the Nian building, which is today now the Nian Shopping Center. Yeah. And that's the first time that I suppose Singapore had used the word boutique.
And I remember they didn't even know how to say boutique.
That's right.
Really?
That's right. You don't even have.
They went boutique.
I thought it was awesome because they really shared first-hand stories. They were so excited to tell me about their teenage years. Orchard Road didn't really exist as a shopping belt, so there were few shops along Orchard Road, but you don't just walk from a mall to a mall. I don't think I see fashion as a sign of rebellion nowadays because everyone just wears different things, but back then when you wore a tie-dye t-shirt, it was saying, I'm rebellious.
Hi, Dawn.
Nice to meet you. My name is Dawn.
Nice meeting you, Dawn.
Meet Thomas Wee, well-known fashion designer who started as a shop boy in the 60s.
Tailoring Road was definitely the belt where everybody's dressed there. So it becomes a so-called niche place for fashionable people. I'm going to do a quick sketch, huh? And you know the big bongo earrings? They were like ping pong, bigger than ping pong. The chin belt, they have a lot of beads and bangles around the buttons.
Oh, I didn't see that coming. So this is like a long top?
It's a tunic.
Okay.
They call it a tunic during those days, yeah. The mod look was in. The word M-O-D, mod, means modern. And that's where you see all the neon-colored tights and stockings, fishnet stockings, boots, chain belts, mini pinafores.
Was it the first time Singapore was seeing mod fashion?
Not really. There are these Brahim sisters. They opened a boutique called Trend.
Trend.
And they themselves were very trendy. They were young. So they opened the first so-called mod shop in Singapore. To me, these models are, my God, superstars. 3 Malay girls to make it in the fashion scene, that's a big deal.
Yes, that is.
The Ibrahim sisters were Faith, a supermodel in the European fashion scene, and her younger sisters Fatima, Rabia, and Carol. Not only did they bring in overseas trends, they even modeled their own clothes, truly social influences of their time. I'm really inspired to incorporate this into my upcoming collection. I'll take a cue from their mod style with the prints and bright colors. I was destined to pursue fashion. My mother taught me to sew when I was 14. But my journey was not straightforward. I studied business first, but took a leap of faith and changed course to what I really loved, fashion design. Then at 29, I cashed in all my savings and started my own label, Minor Miracles.
Hello, I'm back again.
And it's focused on my love of prints. Now I'm on a quest to design and showcase my latest collection, influenced by the precinct that shaped my teenage years. Orchard Road and my favorite haunts, Far East Plaza and the Heron in the 90s. But I'm looking to a different decade for inspiration, the 60s. I've learned about the fashion boutiques that line Tanglin Road and imported brands from overseas. But they were kinda expensive. I'm back with Sharon to find out what the more affordable options were back then.
If you could afford it, you would find a seamstress. So there was this network of really accomplished tailors, home tailors and otherwise, who would clothe our population.
And what if they couldn't afford it?
You just do it yourself. It's DIY. First of all, you need to start with a pattern, right? So there were magazines that sold patterns. So you find the looks of the day,
Yes.
Whether it was a dress, pants, jacket, all different kinds of occasions. You'll find them all in these pattern magazines.
And then they'll take it and then they'll make their own clothes, buy their own fabrics.
You call it artisanal today.
Okay.
Back then, it was just a way of life.
So what did the patterns look like then?
Probably not very different from what you see today.
Wow, this is a Mary Kwan's mini
Yep.
dress.
Yep, that's right. You can see how things were created, right?
Yes.
They even tell you where to fold.
Wow, and yeah, how many to cut,
Yep.
where the bust point is.
Yep. It wasn't difficult. What was important was making sure it fit your body.
So where would people source their fabrics in the 1960s?
Well, in Orchard Road, there were some fabric stores. There was a famous shop called Pavilion. There was this mini industry. It's not glitzy by any means today,
Yes.
but it was here, right here in Orchard Road.
I guess people were more creative back then compared to now when you just buy off the rack and you just wear it immediately.
It's a different kind of creativity, I think, I think back then you just had fewer resources.
So for me, that was quite eye-opening because nowadays people don't even look at patterns anymore. But to find out that maybe women of that day, they were also quite creative. They could customize it in their own way, even though everyone was in a shift dress, but they also input their own maybe little touches like buttons, rather than today when you just buy it off the rack. Everyone's in the same Zara top, for example. I thought that was quite unique.
One way you could customize your own clothes in the 60s was by choosing fabrics that just screamed you. Sharon told me about Pavilion Silk Store at 210 Orchard Road. Dig this. Fabric was so valuable back then that rolls of it was stolen from the shop in 1962. Pooja's father started it all. He owned Pavilion Silk Store. Today, she's my fabric accomplice to understand the trends of the 60s.
That's my mom. And that's my dad in front of the store.
Oh, funky. Look at his pants.
I know. When my father opened the business in 1947, it was very much like Arab Street. I remember we had all the young crowd, right? It was a very hip shop, very mod. They're waiting for their orders to be ready.
Yes.
And because of the loud music, they will be doing the hustle in the shop. It was actually not like a store.
Okay.
It was more like a hangout place.
So could you tell me about the fabrics that were very popular in the 1960s?
In the beginning, there was the wool, silks, taffeta, voiles, and later on, it became more cotton. Okay, you see this stripy fabrics?
Stripy fabrics?
These are very popular. We had like polka dots, even you look at these.
Wow.
You know, and we had like black and white, solid colors. Psychedelic, when it was the hippie era, look at this daisy print.
Oh, nice.
You see, these are very unusual. This is from the 60s.
This is so bright.
Yeah. Gingham pants were very popular.
Ah.
Yeah, you see this one? Like black and white. They were using gingham for mostly tablecloth, apron.
Yes.
Then later it became fashionable and they used to make clothes out of them. And then we have this red. Oh, and this one, I must show you the tartan checks. Tartan check is very popular.
Fun fact, the name of Pavilion's most popular fabric back then, gingham, actually comes from the Malay word gingham, meaning striped. Who knew?
So now that I found out about the fabric makers and where the fabric shops are, I want to find out where the tailors were.
If you could not DIY, you needed a tailor to turn fabrics into your dream outfit. Apparently, there were only 5 of them on Orchard in the 60s. Mrs. Ng, owner of Mode O'Days, still runs a shop around the corner from her original outlet on St. Tomlinson Road.
就你有之前的照片吗？可以给我看？
有，
有啊，
我给你看
好啊
看。
哦，
这个很年轻的照片
这是你啊？
啊，这个我跟 customer fitting。
哇！你从谁教你 做 tailoring 呢？
我从那上海师傅
上海师傅学的。
学的，
你几岁呢
14岁，
14岁，
对
学了多久呢？
6、7年。
哇，6、7年。
Fashion book 什么样子，我们就照做出来。我们最早是最少8个小时。
8个小时，
早上来，晚上就我们送去酒店。教的东西我最好笑，有一个游客，他来做衣服，他说我的衣服明天要的，那么我就收定钱了。他回去了，哎呀，我没有量身了，
这怎么办呢？
那么我就想他的身材了，差不多这样就做。 做了他来试，刚刚好哦！
哇，你好厉害！
哇，你们新加坡这样厉害，不用量身的。
A custom dress by Mrs. Ng cost $60 then. That's about $260 today. And she was a trendsetter in more ways than one.
A woman opening her own shop, she felt, hey, I've got 5 children, I need to feed them. You know, that's the entrepreneurial spirit coming out from her. She was very brave to do something in the 1960s where Orchard Road didn't even exist. I would really like to become like apprentice here because tailoring, as she has said, is a lost craft. It's not like you can go to a school to learn it. Yeah, I found so much inspiration because I think it just gives me encouragement in general, keeping the craft alive.
Practice makes perfect. After leaving her shufu, Mrs. Ng continued to hone her skills in her first job at Hilda's, Orchard's first department store that went on to open 14 other outlets in Singapore. It was nothing like the Takashimaya or Isetan that we know today. Just one floor with ready-to-wear outfits, fabrics, tailoring, and beauty sections. The first outlet was at 176 Orchard Road. This is Jacob Isaac. Hilda's was named after his mum, and his father designed the clothes. When he got older, he joined the family business too.
We decided to do it in a supermarket. There's no space in the shop. There's a staircase to come down, so it's very convenient.
So the models would just go up to the shop, change, and come back down again.
Come down again.
And you had swimwear too, you had children's wear shop. Everything that they're holding in their hands, the accessories, is it from your shop too? Or was it their own?
All from the shop.
Wow, even the shoes too.
Everything else. We have even the sunglasses.
Because you're a departmental store, you have everything.
Yeah.
Remember,
so we put everything in one.
Do you know that Chanel did a fashion show in a supermarket a few years ago? So you guys were very ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of clothes did you design?
The real designer was my brother, Edie. I and my brother, we did a trip to Bangkok.
Bangkok?
To buy Thai silk and Thai cotton for the department store. We went to this factory and we saw how they were doing the screen printing, the dye, and my brother was very fascinated with it. So he asked the owner if he can teach him. He started in a shop house in Oxley Road.
This was like a silk screening factory?
Right, a small scale.
So,
because we only had that one bale of pigment and then we were screened. You have to photo them, make the design photo. He started experimenting on it. He had a shop in the Scotch Road in the Gold Hill Square in Fanling Shopping Centre.
Okay. All your pieces are made in Singapore.
Made in Singapore.
And of course, I have to try on some of their designs.
Hey, it's a nice fit. Look at that.
Wow!
And it still looks very modern. Doesn't look out of place today.
Very nice.
Wow. And it's so well done. All the buttons are still in place.
Yeah.
Everything fits. And it was not made for me, actually. So you were saying that people would custom make dresses.
Yeah.
Wedding dresses because there weren't bridal salons back then, right?
All wedding dresses were made to order. There's none for sale. Very nice. Isn't it beautiful?
I just got married last year and I'm getting married again. And for me, especially as a print designer, I found out that they started a line later on where they will silk screen a lot of fabrics that they bought in mass quantities, and they made their own designs, which is exactly what I'm doing now. So that was very fascinating to hear how our little red dot, a little brand in Singapore could actually go so far in the 60s.
In the 60s, you could tell the strong Western influences on Orchard fashion. And it turns out it even shaped our traditional cheongsam. All because of this film, the Nancy Kwan movie, The World of Susie Wong.
Wow, this nice cheongsam, really high slit. Very high collar, very fitting. And cheongsam is extremely short.
The cheongsam became modern. So for my upcoming Made in Singapore collection, I want to mix the traditional with the modern too. But the iconic Mandarin collar has got to stay. I'm designing a new collection inspired by the Orchard precinct in the 1960s. For my fashion label, Minor Miracles. And I'll be presenting it at my first solo fashion show. I need to cast models. And I'm thinking of matching the look and vibe of runway beauties from the 60s. I'm curious, were they stick thin or more diverse back then?
I didn't realize Singapore had supermodels who were in Paris couture houses. We have models who are local models. They have relatively chunky legs. They don't have the skinny body type. They look quite healthy actually, and they even name the models, which is making them a personality. And I feel like the models, the way they just pose, there's a lot of personality in it. You know, there is their own flair rather than the cookie cutter kind of fast fashion looks now. I stumbled upon a page about what makes marriage tick. So they have a quiz. True love is born after marriage, not before it. And the answer is yes. Interesting, you know. I think I'll definitely fail this quiz so badly. Magazines were directly talking to women back then and telling them what is expected from society. There's this article that says, I'm a failure as a wife. Oh boy. I think women really had a lot of pressure on themselves to be a good wife. It's a very different world back then in the 1960s. Fashion show in Goodwood Park Hotel. To me, it's very different from the models of today because now they need to be of a certain height. They are very, very skinny, you know. Models of then were regular people. They had chunky legs, they had flabby arms, but they were just people who just look really good. They featured them in magazines. So after this, we're going to find a 1960s supermodel. She's going to tell us all about modeling, how it was in the 60s.
And I'm meeting her here. The Goodwood Park Hotel. In the 60s, most fashion shows in Orchard were held at hotels just like this. Meet Joyce, catwalk pro and former F1 Grand Prix model.
This location that we're at now, does it still look the same from the 1960s?
Very much. The umbrellas have changed, the trees have grown. This was one of the top places to come.
Could you show me how you maybe do a short walk?
You actually don't do much walking.
And you will always be smiling?
Yes. Shoulders down. You walk forward, you walk. Just walk.
Very slow, huh?
Yeah. If there's somebody there, you kind of turn, and then you go forward a little bit, and there's somebody there, you turn for them again. You just show off your clothes. Fluid, casual, and just go with the flow. But I don't see anything like that anymore.
Oh, look at you. And where is this? Where are you modeling?
This was when I was modeling for. They would book a room at the cabana, right by the swimming pool. So then they'll invite the buyers in, and they sell them first. So I was modeling, and here's the umbrella, and then you wear these beautiful furs.
Where were these fashion shows held?
Mostly at hotels, ballrooms, where they have big dinners, annual dinners, award-winning dinners, Rotary dinners. It's very often at this hotel. It was everybody's favorite.
Everyone's favorite?
Almost. It was my favorite.
You're wearing a sari?
Yeah.
Why were you wearing a sari?
This was during the Grand Prix, where we did a parade on the cars. So we all represented Singapore in our multicultural race. Before they start the race, you go through the track with the flag or something, and we sat on top of the car. It was fun.
So let's say somebody signed you up for a fashion show. You would turn up. Would they do your hair and makeup?
Yes, they do your hair, they do your makeup.
So 60s modeling is about personality, about fun. You know, the models were really just going for it. There was no one type of template that they had to follow.
Looking through Joyce's photos, the hairstyles caught my eye. Hair is definitely a big part of fashion. So what were the fads during the 60s? There's one name that keeps popping up. Roland Chow. He was Singapore's first Paris-trained hairdresser and quite a big deal. He was even awarded an Order of the Night by the Parisian Hairdressing World Academy. After a successful fashion career that earned him the nickname Mr. Dior of the East, he changed his focus to hairdressing. At a time when most stylists were women. His shop was located at 247 Orchard Road. I'm meeting Francisco, who worked with him for a year.
I'm very curious to hear about your experience at Roland.
It was very, very on the ball.
On the ball.
Every day is like a battlefield.
Whoa, so he's so popular. He was an iconic hairdresser of Singapore.
Yes, he was. Certainly he was.
And what was his iconic looks?
This is a soft look.
Okay.
And he actually merged the East and the West together. Middle length bob, and he would do a bit oriental fringe. We have a lot of influence from Hong Kong then. Film stars constantly travel to this part of the world. I think pop culture always has been important and influenced everyone. Otherwise, it would be so boring and dull daily life, isn't it? This is one of the popular styles with long hair and high top.
High top.
And then you can have a long fringe like that to frame the face, or you can also sweep it up and then pin it up. But most important, the foundation is on the height. Now, you get the idea, something like this.
Oh, yes. Okay.
That means they have the height, they have all these curls.
Yeah.
So you actually can use the hair to create it on top. But then, of course, you have to use maybe half a can of hairspray.
So I learned what kind of models to cast. Real women with personalities. And the types of hairdos I should style. Bobs, fringes, and beehives. All for my upcoming collection and fashion showcase. Now, why does this feel like the calm before the storm? I run fashion label Minor Miracles, and I've been on a journey to gather inspiration for an upcoming collection. The 60s was an exciting decade for local brands and young designers, at a time when Orchard Road was just growing into its status as a shopping hub. But what about the future? Mark from the Orchard Road Business Association has ideas about how the area can remain relevant even as fashion goes online.
When I first wanted to open my own store, I was looking, should I be in Orchard Road? Because that is the main shopping belt. I wonder if you have any advice for a local designer like me. Should I be in Orchard Road?
You know, I believe nowadays you kind of need a hybrid model, right? You need to have an online presence, you need to have a social media presence.
Yes.
And then you need to have a shop in a place where people can find it. So Orchard Road is great for that.
You're right, because different malls also have different audiences.
So I think what we're looking to do, hopefully, is to get people back out on the street and you know, to walk between malls and even perhaps create, you know, more pop-ups along the pedestrian walkways where designers like yourself could actually show your things. And so what I guess we need to do, make it more interesting for shoppers and make it into the destination it used to be.
And I do believe you guys had, when you closed the whole street, there was like a fashion show. Was that in...
Oh yeah, that was called Fashion Steps Out.
Yes.
That's a program that we did a few years ago. We ran quite a few times. Very successful, and actually based on in the 70s, or in the, I guess, the 80s and 90s, there used to be something called Swing Singapore, where Orchard Road was closed for a huge street party.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was you know, I have fond memories of that from my youth.
Although I would love to have my fashion show on the streets, I have decided on this place for my runway, right in the heart of Orchard Road. It's been an epic journey. I discovered that Orchard Road was home to boutiques like Glamourette, who sold the hottest upmarket threads direct from London's Carnaby Street, and department stores like Hilda's, who started the trend of selling everything under the sun, from swimsuits to tie-dye fashion. In those days, I could even DIY my own outfit with magazine patterns and fabrics from the Pavilion Silk store. It also housed iconic hair salons like Roland. Now, with 6 weeks till my first solo fashion show, all that is left to do is to transfer everything I've learned so far into this upcoming collection. I'm designing 6 pieces. 2 dresses inspired by Mary Quant's and the mini dress, one of which takes a cue from the cheongsam collar, a tunic and miniskirt, a tribute to mod fashion, 1 jumpsuit, a nod to the space-age shapes, and a shorter version of the romper to reflect our modern trends. Finally, a pantsuit paying homage to the safari jacket and the outfits of a new generation of working women. After the silhouettes come the prints. I love the daisies and florals of the 60s, but I want to jazz it up. So my main inspiration is the begonia, the trendiest flower this year. Now that I have my outline, the next step is to choose the right colors. And then comes the digitization of the prints. I play around with different types of patterns and color palettes until I find the perfect combinations.
Now I'm doing casting for my models. I need to find 6 beautiful models to wear my clothes. 3 things I'm looking for is actually diversity, good personality, and lively. Hi, Chris! Thanks for coming! Come. Hi, Jack! Come on in. Okay, how was that for you? Good. Okay. Ready? Nice. Fun. And stop. Yeah, nice. Great. Nice smile. Unfortunately, because it's still in kind of unbleached fabric, I can't imagine how it really looks, and I only have to see on the final day itself. Model number 5, I like her. She's full of, personality. I like that when she walks, there is such a sway to her hips. She has more than meets the eye. Probably gonna give her the pantsuit because so far I haven't found somebody who carries the pants very well. Okay, bye Jack, thank you. I've got all 6. I'm done. I can now finish my collection. And also, fabrics just came. I'm actually very scared to open them. So I'm gonna tackle some changes I need to do on 12s first, and then I'll open the fabrics maybe tonight.
I'm making edits on the 12s, the test garments, to check the proportions and shapes of each piece. After my final tweaks, it's time to get sewing, working with the actual fabrics I've created. It's a lot to do in just 4 weeks, so I better get cracking.
I'm actually very nervous because I'm very tired and we have about 10 hours to go. Because the clothes are quite bright and a lot of things are happening, I need to keep it a bit more simple. So maybe a bit like color blocking of eyeshadow, and then maybe the wingtip eyeliner, that's great. I also bought hairbands. So I think Bridget Bardot had a very thick hairband. Sonia has long hair, so we can do a bit of a beehive or with the curls going on, the 60s. Okay. The moment you go out, the show has started, okay? Think about energy, fun, remember the pause, and smile. We are finishing hair. 1 minute to showtime. You are fashionably late. Oh, I've got to run. Bye. I'm shaking.
You can do it, Dawn.
Hi everyone. Hello. Thank you everyone for coming. Hi everybody. Before I start, I want to just thank everyone that I've met along the journey for this episode. You know, the 3 musketeers over there that I did tie-dyeing with, that was really fun. Meeting with Thomas Wee, thank you sir, it was such an honor. And Carrie, thank you for showing me your vintage collection. And over there we have our Minor Miracles fans. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoy the show and please have fun. Ready?
The style is there, you know. The style is the colors is there also.
And I hope her collection sells like hotcakes. I'll be the first to buy downstairs, okay?
I felt like the collection was very wearable for the modern woman in the 21st century.
I think she captures the essence of 60s, and the colors are beautiful. Incredible, yeah, incredible.
It's over. I'm very tired. My legs are aching. It's been crazy, you know. I've had sleepless nights. Fashion was in memories, and now fashion is so transactional. You know, and the way people talk about fashion, it was so nice because it's so personable in the 60s. My key takeaways were, I think I really personally like that fashion is always not in a silo. I enjoyed meeting all the people. They were sharing their lives with me. This was a heavy responsibility to turn what they told me into a collection. So I think it's awesome we managed to have a fashion show along Orchard Road because it's been the main shopping belt for years. And in the heart, actually, I feel like we're in the middle. That was fun. These people are so awesome. Thank you. I'm launching my collection live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.